Hi, welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the spiritual head of the Transformation Center, which is based in Westport, Connecticut. So at the center, in addition to the individual sessions that I do in transformation, coaching, and energy healing, we also offer a variety of workshops, classes. We even have sound baths in the backyard. And if you haven't been to one, I highly recommend it. And outdoors, they're even more special. And we have a labyrinth back there, so it's really cool. And it's great. You can contact us through our website, and all the information is up there about our events, how to contact us, anything you need, transformationcenterct.com. Yeah, and so, everything we do at the center is really focused on helping you experience more self-awareness so you can transform your limiting beliefs and really get to know who you are inside. Yeah, and become, the best person that you can, and from there, consciously create a life that you love. So we welcome anybody to contact us. I started the Conscious Conversation show really to talk to people who are already creating a life that they love and find out more about them, what they're up to, find out about their journey, and that way you can learn from them and find out what's in it for you and find out what they're up to. So thank you for being here today. And I'm very excited that my guest is Bianca Rodriguez. Welcome to the show, Bianca.
Thank you, Katie, for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and I just met Bianca recently, and it was a very cool way to do it because one of the things she does that you'll hear about is she does breath work experiences. And I had done a breath work session years ago, and it was down in Nashville, and I hadn't found anybody in our area to do it. So when I met Bianca and found out that's what she does, I was excited. And yes, it was fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I'm so glad. I can't wait to talk more about
I know, and she does a lot of other things. So I'm going to read a little bit about her, and you can get to know her and find out her contact info, okay? All right, so Bianca Rodriguez is a holistic psychotherapist. She's a medium. She's a published author and a nationally syndicated columnist. So in 2005, after obtaining 2 master's degrees from Columbia University in psychology, Bianca moved to Los Angeles. Yes, and there she began working with children, teens, and adults who were suffering from anxiety, depression, and addiction. So gifted at building therapeutic alliances and applying a holistic approach to healing, Bianca has worked with treatment centers throughout Los Angeles and also with publishers like Oprah Winfrey and HuffPost. Bianca currently runs a thriving private practice where she helps individuals and families recover to their innate state of being, wholeness. And so I, for one, am thrilled that you moved back to Connecticut. So thank you.
Thank you. It's so nice to be back. So nice to be home.
Yeah, so why don't we start with that? What brought you back to Connecticut from Los Angeles? Why did you come back?
Yes, so many things. So I'm a Westport, Connecticut local in that I moved here from Brooklyn, New York when I was 6 years old with my parents and my older sister, and then continued to live here till I was 18 years old. So I really grew up in Westport. I went to all the the local schools, Staples High School, graduated in '94, and I want to start off right off the bat because when people ask me, what was the reason that you moved back? I can give you a list of reasons. Honestly, the number one thing that brought me back was just a feeling that it was time to come home. And I feel like a huge part of the work that I do is about, I feel like I'm a soul-centered psychotherapist because I believe that our soul knows, our soul has all the answers. And when we learn to turn off the TV and all the extraneous things that are constantly distracting us, including some of our programming, which is not that healthy, internal programming, not just the external programming.
Yes.
You get to hear this little voice inside of yourself, That's just like I heard for a few months after I had started visiting Westport more often with my older sister during COVID. We rented a house here so we could kind of quarantine together, and I kept hearing this little whisper like within my like being that just kept saying, "Go, go." And I was like, "Go where? Go back to LA? Go here. Where am I supposed to go?" And I was having it as I was going back and forth. And so a huge part of it was just that I felt as though I had loved my life in LA and I felt like I was complete there. I also had an experience where many things were sort of also falling off, not only just because of COVID, but just because I think that was just part of the journey where, my life was centered around a lot of my friends and my community. COVID made it so that I couldn't see them. That got me off the crazy LA roads and traffic. And then I started to question, like, is that how I want to spend my time? Is that good for my nervous system?
Yeah.
And then my family is one of the hugest things, which, I say that after a very long journey of having to heal a lot of things within myself that affected my family and the ways that my family affected me. Not because, they're the greatest people. I have the most wonderful parents. Also, right, we're human. And so, I have childhood trauma based on a very severe medical condition. I had very severe asthma as a kid. And like, I had some feelings about how that was handled. And I had to really work to, process a lot of that stuff and to process the relationships. So I felt like I almost had to go to like LA to become like my adult self, become independent, do what I needed to do. I was on the hero's journey. And now it's time to like bring all the things I learned there and bring my like full, authentic, integrated self back home so I can bring this yumminess to the people and my parents, who are getting older, and my sisters who I adore and want to spend more time with. So it's just like a full circle moment for me.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, yeah, the way you describe that, I think a lot of people could relate to that as well. As young adults, we do need to move away in order to become ourselves in a way, that allows us to do that
Yes.
in a different environment.
Absolutely. I was pretty, fragile when I was here. I feel like the fact that I do, I am very intuitive. I think I'm a person who just picks up on a lot of stuff. And I think I picked up on a lot of stuff here that, was not really me, And
Right.
so it was like I needed to go very far away and figure out like, well, what really is me?
Yeah, I've heard this from other young people. Yeah, especially in our town, which is fabulous, but it does kind of have that tendency to give you the impression that you have to be a certain way. And if you're not that way, that maybe something's wrong with you.
Right. Yes.
And not that you have a choice to be who you really are.
Right.
So that's amazing. And I think, our families that you were talking about, that they can be our greatest teachers. And if we take that, it sounds like you did. You took that as what it was meant to be.
Yes. Yes,
and,
I did.
And learned from it.
Yes, I really believe that we, on some level, we choose each other. We choose our parents, we choose our siblings, we choose our partners, and I feel like our number one job in this lifetime is to expand, is to evolve, is to learn.
Yes, and we're talking about on a soul level.
Yes.
Yes, our soul chooses.
Yeah. So if things are always copacetic, it's like you're not learning. Like I always tell people, I'm like, you want to be like spiritual, go to an ashram, but like you're not going to have a lot of, yes, you're going to meet yourself and that is hard, but you really want to learn, like go be in life, go be around humans, fallible humans. Like that's what's going to give you the rub. That's going to bring up all your stuff. That's going to show you what you need to work on.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's perfect, because if you frame it that way, then I think it's like people know that it's helpful, as opposed to like having that victim mentality, like,
Yes.
why me, or what's wrong with me? It's like, oh, this is an opportunity.
Yes, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it can take a long time to get there. So like anybody listening to this, I'm like, speaking to you, anybody listening to this, one, there are times, obviously, my beginning of my career as a psychotherapist was with the underserved population in Los Angeles, primarily working with folks that their insurance was through Medi-Cal, which on the East Coast is Medicare. And, these were children that had experienced abuse and neglect, very severe trauma, have been removed from their families of origin. So it's like, yes, we can be victimized. I think it's important to acknowledge that. I don't believe in that whole manifesting thing of like, I brought this on myself. I'm like, I don't know how it works. I think there's great mysteries in the world. I don't know why some people have it really hard and difficult. Some other people don't. I'm not that big. I don't have that kind of vision. I do know though that you don't have to stay in that place of identifying as a victim, even if you've been victimized. And that can take a long time to process because, you do want to honor when something's happened to you that was not okay.
Right.
And all of us, I think collectively.
Especially as children.
Oh, especially as children. It's like, it was never your fault if you were a child. It's like, you did not have the wherewithal to care for yourself. It was adults' jobs to meet your own needs. But it's about bringing that into adulthood and going, wait, well, now I'm an adult. It's my job to meet my own needs, even if they weren't met as a child. And that's a lot of the work I do with clients is, learning to be that good parent to yourself, Yeah. One of my favorite lines that I heard when I was getting sober from alcoholism was, it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility.
Wow. That sums it up, doesn't it?
Yep.
I was thinking the same thing. I just had this conversation because my brother recently passed away. And the day after, it just, I'm experiencing grief and sadness, although I know he's in a better place.
Yes, and I'm so sorry. My heart is with you.
Oh, thank you.
And that just happened, yeah.
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 And, but what I got was life is a gift.
It really is.
And that, I sort of knew that, but I really just got it.
Yes.
And with that comes
Wow,
responsibility. So it ties
I
in
just
with
got goosebumps
what you
on
were
that one.
saying.
It is a great responsibility, yeah.
It's a responsibility that we, that is a gift, and that we have a choice on how we can create our own lives. And I've been big into that conscious creation.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's really, I just thought that was beautiful to just feel it,
I think when we lose somebody that's very close to us, I think it just magnifies that consciousness of like, this is not forever.
Yeah.
Like every day, like I don't have a guarantee of how long I'm going to get to be here and enjoy, the beautiful things that we get to enjoy here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really eye-opening.
Yeah. All right, so I want to shift gears a little bit because, I'm curious, like all of the things that you do, how do they all tie together, with the psychotherapy, the mediumship, the breath work, a few other things I'm sure I don't even know about. Yeah. How does that all tie together?
Okay, let's think about it. Okay, so the name of my website and my Instagram handle is You Are Complete.
You are complete?
You are complete. Les, you are whole, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so my own personal journey was really interesting because I always thought there was something wrong with me. I always thought I'm anxious, I have, alcohol problems, I have relationship problems, there's something wrong with me. And throughout my own journey of healing, I realized I had a moment, like, I don't even know, 15 years ago, I had a moment where I was like, wait a second, there's nothing wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with literally anybody. There's nothing wrong with anybody. We come into this world, I believe, like if you've ever held an infant, most of us have at this point, infants, babies are just, they're whole. They don't have all the programming. They're happy. They let you know what they need. All the things that I'm like, wait a second, that's our true nature.
Yes,
all this other stuff, all this disease, which I say dis-ease, right, is because we have forgotten that we're whole. And we have gotten out of touch with that, what I was telling you about. I don't know if it's our soul, our spirit, I call it different things, but that essence of us that I believe, when my clients say, or people say to me like, no, like I'm just this physical thing and I don't believe that there's this other part of me. I'm like, have you ever been in a room and felt somebody staring at you from behind you and then you look and they are staring at you? Like, how do you describe that? There is an energy about us, right?
Yeah,
That transcends right, our physical beings. And so I just realized that I was like, holy cow, Western medicine, including traditional psychology, right, is about this is wrong, fix the thing. This is wrong, give it a prescription. This is wrong, do the thing. There's definitely a time and place for that. And of course, I think that there are medications that have changed people's life, all of that. I also believe that we got to look at the fact that there's an issue, I feel like, with integration and integrating all of the parts of the self that causes this internal conflict when we're not connected to that truth of us. And that truth of us, I feel like, is that which does not change, right? That part of you that is always with you, that is at peace, that is joyful, that is, I don't know, the part of us that I think we had more access to as children.
Exactly. It's what we came in with. It's that part of
Exactly.
us. It's always there.
Yes. So everything that I do is in service of helping people connect to their spirit. That's it. That's the whole thing. And to uncover, discover, discard all the things that get in the way of you connecting with your spirit. So as a psychotherapist, when people come to me, I look at their diagnoses, generalized anxiety disorder. I work with a lot of people with trauma because I do EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is an incredibly powerful practice. I'm like an evangelist now for this. Like, everybody do it. I've done it with my therapist and it's changed my life. And I think when we have traumatic events, they hijack the brain and we create belief systems about not being safe, not being worthy, not, being responsible for things that weren't our fault, not having choice. And so all of those things affect our ability to just be free and to connect with that source within ourselves. So everything I do, therapy, holotropic breath work, now speaking to, I call it the other side. I started to have I was always very spiritual and I always sort of knew these things, even this uncovering of knowing that I was complete and whole. I feel like that was part of my soul just sort of always being present with me and being like, hey, you're good. Like, you're good. And you got to bring this message to other people, But the more I've cleared out my own junk, the more I've been able to connect to spirit collectively. So that could be people's departed, loved ones, my own spirit guides. I think most therapists and healers are highly intuitive.
I agree with you, and it's really helpful. And I think we're moving more in that direction in our world, in our society, to be more open to using all of our faculties. And I think we all have intuition.
Absolutely.
It's just
Thank
a matter,
goodness.
of developing it more.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, believing in it, trusting it, right?
Yes.
That's what when you say, oh, I have a gut feeling or gut instinct or something, it's really related to that, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's great. So you bring all of these things
modalities
together,
in.
and it just depends on what the individual needs at the time, or how does that?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely depends on what a person needs. So, there's different ways that I work with people. When I do psychotherapy with people, that's like, I look for people who are committed to a process that, usually takes, 6 months to a year, sometimes several years. So that's one way that I work with people. Then I like to offer things like holotropic breath work, which is a 1 hour class, a 90-minute class, depending on, if I'm going to do any energy work in that class and, maybe how big the class is. And that's showing you that through your own breath, through this breathing process, you can remove stuff and you can experience this incredible lightness of yourself and all the things. So it's like, you don't need to sign up for therapy with me. Let's say you have a great therapist, but you want to do breath work. So it's like, you can enter, that way. And then when it comes to mediumship readings, I do groups here in Westport. And then I see people online where it's also like, that's very specific, where I will be connecting to, your guides on the other side, your departed loved ones on the other side. What's nice is that I have the therapeutic background, so I can also, all of the message I receive are healing messages. So because I think I have this bigger view and a lot of experience and, a skill set, I think it kind of adds an additional layer. I've been told, where I don't just say, grandma's here and this is what she's saying and good for you. Like, I really want to work with the person to understand what about this person coming through is meaningful for you.
Yeah, I can see that would be very helpful. Yeah, and the one thing that I've learned about communicating with the other side is that it's always helpful. That there's never anything negative that comes through. I mean, they're here for us to assist us. That's departed loved ones or spirit guides or whoever it is. And I love that.
Yes, and I think the biggest part is the way I live my life. So I am very clear, and that's also part of moving back here, that I have to really tend to my own garden
So
to myself. My whole life is a practice of being in tune, honoring my boundaries, connecting to my own guides, going to my own therapy, surrounding myself with nature, animals, people that I love, like my entire, as you say, like you can create this life that you love. It's like, I love my life. And I also feel a great responsibility to the work that I do. I cannot roll into a session if, I feel underslept, underfed, overworked, any of that. So my entire life is like, is this work.
Well, that's perfect. And that's a perfect prescription for everybody, how to create a life that they love. So I think we're just about out of time.
Oh, wow, that's so
I
fast.
know, I know. The 30 minutes goes by really fast. But I do want to say thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I'm
Bianca. It
so
was such a
grateful.
pleasure to get to know you more.
Yes.
And thank you to our audience for tuning in to Conscious Conversations. And I also want to thank the Westport Library Verso Studio for hosting us today. Namaste and blessings. Bye-bye.